The summoner was furious with anger, from listening to the friar's tale. A friar was preaching, giving a sermon about donations for the church, and he begged for charity afterward.
The summoner is a liar.
Silence.
The friar went from house to house.
The friar takes coins in exchange for their sins. And then the friar erases their names from the prayer book.
Until he came upon the house of Thomas, a local resident, who was found sick. The friar spoke of the sermon he had given, commenting on the way he had used the Bible. Lozenge is a glorious thing.
Thomas's wife, please get me some food.
My child died not more than 2 weeks ago.
Your child must have died and entered heaven. My fellow friars have had a similar vision. For they are more willing to share the knowledge of God's messages than a layman, who lives richly on earth, opposed to spiritual riches. Among the clergy, only friars remain poor and are the closest to God. Your illness is getting worse because you had given so little to the church.
I have indeed given a full amount of money to many other friars, but never got the best for it.
The friar gets irritated that Thomas is not giving all his money to him.
A farthing is not worth anything if split into 12.
The friar continued to lecture Thomas, so he began a long sermon against anger, telling a tale about an angry king who sentenced knights to death.
A knight returned home without his partner. The king thought the knight had murdered him. When a third knight took the knight to his death, they found the knight that was supposed to be murdered. When they returned to have sentenced removed, the king sentenced all three of them to death. The first one, because he originally said to, the second one, because he was the cause of the first one's death, and the third one, because he disobeyed the king. Another king, Cambyses, was a drunk. When one of his knights claimed that drinking causes people to lose coordination, Cambyses drew his bow and arrow and shot the knight's son to prove that he had control of his reflexes. Cyrus, the king of Persia, had the Ganges River destroyed because one of his horses had drowned in it. Thomas, may I have money to build the brothers' cloister?
Thomas got annoyed by the friar's hypocrisy.
I have a gift for you, that I am sitting on, but the only way of receiving it is if you promise to split it equally between each of the friars.
I agree. You are going to repay for this.
Before the friar could do anything, the servants of the house chased him out. The friar told the lord of the village of the embarrassment that had happened, and asked how he was supposed to divide a fart among 12.
I am the Lord Squire, and I suggest that you take a cartwheel and tell each of the 12 friars to lay his nose at the end of a spoke. Then you could sit in the center of the wheel and fart, so each of the spokes would carry the smell along to the rim, which would result in the fart being divided up equally between each of the friars.
And the friar did just that.